JNDI, right? Then what do you do?
Yeah. JNDI never worked. We never configured JNDI, but always we do this
Okay.
change only. So, in the development production environments, I see this one.
Okay.
So, coming to the session. So we have seen what is an entity and what it can comprise of in the yesterday's session. And today I will be covering how to create an entity. So the steps required to create the entity and the various operations that we can do with the help of entity definition. So just coming to the screen which is shown in the demo. So you can see Guideway platform is the underlying framework on which all the products are developed. So the platform is having activity. There are some entities which are already predefined at the platform level and at the product level. So if the platform level entities are common to all the applications. So if you see activity, user, activity pattern, group. So these are all the common entities which are available for all the products, irrespective of different products. So if you see, the same activity is available for all the products. The same user is available for all the products, and these are called platform level entities. These are common to all the products. Whereas application level entities, if you take Claim Center, Claim is the application specific entity. So this entity is not available in the policy center or billing center. If you want to have functionality related to that, you have to define your custom entity. That is the next one. So if you see, customers can add their layer of custom entities. That is called custom entities, and whatever the entities defined at the platform level and application level are called base application level, base application entities. So if you see how to declare an entity, so declaring entity is nothing but we have to define one ETA file per a single entity definition. So we have to define claim.etf and claim file, and medical case extension entity for medical case extension. So one.
Hello. Hello. Rahul, are there?
So if you see, each and every entity is defined in a ETA file. ETA file is nothing but it is a file which is defined in terms of XML notation. So, for example, if you want to see one ETA file, open, so open the file here, and so you have to use control and shortcut, and there you have to type the contact dot ETA. My definition actually. Now you can see the what is the entity definition for ED contract. So if you see this compares to the XML notation and XML version 2.2 and entity definition starts here. What is the entity name contact and what is the database table in contact. So you can see the difference. It's a small case here and the entity name is having some camel case. So this is how the entity will be defined in each and every entity ETL5 definition. So this is what we have seen just now. So one ETA file will exactly should exactly hold only one ETA definition. Hello, Pandu, you're there, right?
Hello.
Yeah, Pandu, you are following, right? Pandu, are you following the session?
Yes, I am. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Earlier, it's something silent.
No, I am actually dialing from Skype. 1 second.
Okay. Do you want me to hold for some time? The entity definition. So one is data field, foreign key, array key, and type key. So a data field can be defined with the help of column. It will store simple values such as strings, booleans, datetime objects, datetime values, or integers. Foreign key is nothing but it declares a foreign key field. Array is a tag which will be declaring the array. And whereas type key is declares a field concerned by a specific type list. So coming to the sample ETL file. So now you can see there is a entity defined for building. So there is a building entity that we want to define the elements like what is the address, where exactly it is the building is, the number of employees the building can accommodate, that is an integer type, and inspection date, when the inspection has been completed for that building, and whether this building is having parking facility or not with the help of has parking column, which is of type bit. Bit means boolean value, and close of the entity tag. So it completely defines an entity and creates a real-time business object which will be used during the runtime. And you can see the syntax for entity tags. First tag must be XML version equal to 1.0. So without this line, it won't. It is not a valid XML file. After that, you can see the red color ones. Red color attributes or tags are mandatory ones. Entity equal to what is the entity name underscore ext, and a table equal to what is the table name that we want to persist the entity information, and description, what is the description. So wherever you see the description attribute, that is purely for data dictionary purposes. So that string will be generated in the description field of data dictionary. And the type equal to typically retirable. So in general we will be using retirable only. There are some other values like editable. So I will explain here. So retirable is nothing but, so if you mention type equal to retirable, so Guidewire creates one field called retired. So what happens is, for example, uh, if you want to disable some of the data, so what you can do is you can go to the record directly, and you can set the retired field to the true. So if you mention retired equal to true, means that value is present in the database, but it won't be available in the front end. So you will not be able to, that is not a active data. So that is what the type equal to retired. So instead of, we cannot delete that. Instead of deleting the record, you can make the retired field as a true. So if you want the record to be enabled again, you can change the retired to false. So that is how will be handled type equal to value, and XML namespace equal to HTTP. This is the namespace XML schema definition, where all the definitions are defined. And there is a convention that for guideware we have to use the camel case, and the name should end with the _ext. So this is the suffix to discriminate the custom entities or custom fields from the base application level fields or entities. And there is one option attribute called exportable equal to true or false. Default value is false. So when you set it to true, entity is available to applications OPPIs, which means data can be exposed to the external systems with the help of web services. So whenever you want to perform some operations on this entity data, you have to provide this attribute exportable equal to true for that entity definition. So web service creation, there are different steps I will explain. But for example, from the external system, you want to update the claim information. So what you have to do, you will be providing one web service, and with the help of web service, you are directly updating the data of a entity which is a client. So in that case, the client entity should have exportable equal to true attribute. And coming to ETX and ETA files, use the same column tags. So there are some extensions. So to the entities, I will explain. So the column tags are same for ETX and ETA. Column name equal to field name. So this is a syntax: column name equal to field name, type equal to data type, and description equal to description string. So because custom entity names ends with the ext, there is no need to end custom entity field names with _ext. So because we have defined that it is completely extension or a new entity which is defined with the building _ext entity name. So there is no requirement to add each and every field the suffix _ext. And you can see the examples here. Number of employees is of type integer, inspection date is of type date time, and hash parking is a type of boolean, which is a bit here. So you can see the different data values that you can store here. And another data field is a string. A string can be stored with the type varchar. So foreign keys and arrays. So you can to understand the relationship, we have a entity relationship here. AB contact. Contact will have multiple buildings. A contact can reside in multiple buildings. One is office building, next one is a residential building. So in that case, a contact should hold array of buildings information, and a building should have address associated with that building. So a building should be tied to a single address only. So that is why we don't have multiple one-to-many relationship there. From the building, there is only one-to-one relationship. So whenever there is a requirement to handle one-to-one relationship, we have to use the foreign key. If you want to have the relationship like one-to-many, then we have to use the array key tag. So typically entities are not isolated in the data model, so entities are not at all isolated. So if they are single entities, then there is no meaning in handling the, I mean, defining a new application. So it doesn't make sense. So now in any application, all the tables or whatever the entities or objects will have a association with other objects. So similar to this, we have the I mean, these entities will have a association like one to many or one to one. So two ways in which one entity can reference another one is with the help of foreign key. So foreign key is a pointer to a single instance of some other entity. Maintained by foreign key column in the database table, each building can have one address and array key. So array key is also collection of pointers to instances of some other entity. So maintained by code during the runtime. And example, each contact can have 0 to many buildings. So here maintained by code during runtime means if you see AB contact is having array key. So that is defined in the XML file as an array key. But if you see that array key will not be depicted in the AB contact table. So what happens is exactly in the building.ext file there will be a reverse foreign key to the AB contact. So for example, if I show one example, so how to handle the, so if I see example 5, so let us take AB contact here, and AB contact table is having 01, 02, 03. These are the three records available, and these are the contact names. Let us see for a better understanding purpose. So I am coming to the buildings. So there will be a building entity, and if you say building is having identifier 1, identifier 2, there are 3 buildings. One is Neighbor, next one is state. So if you have 3 buildings, how exactly array key will be? So we have defined array on a AB contact is having array of multiple buildings. But in real time what happens is we will be having a reverse foreign key to the AB contact. So for example, contact is working in 2 buildings. So the contact information will be updated in the contact ID field of this building entity. So this is how the relationships will be handled. So whenever you have a array key, there is a foreign key from the array entity to the parent entity. That is how we will be defining the relationships.
Okay. So in the ETI file, right?
Yeah.
Rahul, you are able to hear me, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So in the ETI file, if you have to mention the relationship, right? How do you mention, and how do you maintain the data integrity? So cascade on delete, all those things are there, right? How do you maintain that in the ETI file?
In the ETI file, there are a lot of properties that you can configure in the ETI file. So
Okay.
if you see, for example, the integrity means I will open this. Open this one. You will find array. So let us say a contact will be having multiple addresses, right? So a contact can have multiple addresses, one home address, office address, some business address, something like that. So that is handled with the help of array key. So array key is defined with the help of array tag. And what is the array entity? So AB contact address is an array entity, and this is the name of the field in this AB contact. So if I say AB contact or contact addresses, it will pull all the addresses associated with this AB contact. But whenever you define an array key here in the what is this contact addresses table, we have to define a reverse foreign key. Okay, because these are some base application level entities, we will not be able to open directly. Those are I mean, will be available in the jar files. Not all files will open for edit operation. So if you want to make, I mean, to understand those files also, you have to extract the jar and we have to go through that each and every. Like this, I will take another again.
So is there any guideware documentation on the ETI file, the entire ETI file? Is there anything like that, a manual kind of?
Yeah, there is a documentation available. So once you install the client center application, you will be having the complete documentation about what are the available data types, how to configure the user interfaces, how to customize the entity definition. Everything is there. So there is one folder called client center/doc. If you go to doc, there you will find the HTML representation and PDF representation is also present.
Okay, super. So once I have the software, right, I think Sai is going to share me the software, right?
Yeah.
Okay, once I have the software, probably tomorrow, today evening your time, right, we can discuss. I'll be ready by then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you can proceed.
So, yeah, I will continue with this. So, foreign key. So, foreign key is it to handle the relationship of one-to-one. So, here you can see foreign key name equal to field name, column name equal to field name ID. So, it's a convention that if you use the ID, it will be easy to understand that we are referencing another table field. So, if you see the database table, so how exactly it will look like? So, if you say foreign key name equal to address and the column name equal to address ID. So if you see the database, you will see the name field name as address ID. By seeing this name, you can understand it is a referenced field from another entity. So the name itself, it says address entity ID. So FK entity equal to address. So foreign key entity. FK entity is nothing but foreign key entity. This entity should exist. I will open one second. I will open extensions related to files. The list is there.
So Rahul, I think I just have one more question. Okay, so abcompany.eti, right? And I also saw AB company or some files called ext.eti. What is the difference? I think you told, but your voice was feeble, so I could not understand much.
Yeah, I mean, in the next session, I will be covering ETX. That is ETX.
Okay. EXT. I mean, I saw ext.eti, right?
Oh, okay. See, that is suffix. Okay, so I will show that. EXT. This is what you might be saying. Area was this one, right?
Yeah.
See, it does mean that this is a convention that if you mention underscore ext, by watching this name, you will be understanding that this is created by the developer. Okay, this doesn't comes with the base application entity.
Okay. So it means a custom table that we have created.
Yeah. So, for example, if I want to create a one file, let us say inquiry, I want to create. So, if I say directly, it will accept. It won't cause any issues. But the guideware convention, it's a coding convention. If you give like this, by watching the name itself, I would say it is a developer created entity. So,
okay.
So to understand this,
So all the Eclipse shortcuts will be applying to same guideware ID also, right?
No, these are different.
Control Shift R, right? In find resources in Eclipse will apply to.
No, here you have to use Control N.
Control N, okay.
N, not end. N for new.
N. Oh,
N
okay.
N for New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything on that also, like shortcuts, how to work on guideware ID? Is there anything document?
Very limited shortcuts are available here. You can see, whatever we can do here, the documentation. So, you can see here recent views, control V. And,
okay.
So these are the only common operations that we get. So controlling is commonly used. Control V is to open the already opened. Okay. So this is similar to Eclipse, I guess. Eclipse also control V.
Okay.
And to find the resources, Control Shift S, F.
Okay.
F. So F for Florida. So if you see, to find any resource which is used in another PCFs, another extension files, this will be useful to find that. For example, where exactly this flag entry is used. Let us see.
Okay.
So it will show the references in which it has been used. So it will show some options. These are rule sets. So flag entries LV, DV, these are all PCFs, and it is showing abcontact.etx. You can see abcontact.etx. This is where it has been used. So, for example, a contact will have multiple flag entries. Okay. So that is depicted with defined with the help of array key. So whenever you define array key, that should be handled with the help of reverse foreign key. That is a rule by Guidewire. So because arrays will not be handled in the abcontact entity file, so it is handled in a different way. You will be having the reverse key, and during the runtime, it will fetch the records. If I say abcontact.flag entries, it will read the flag entry table, and it will fetch the records from this relationship abcontact. I will explain with you later. So if you see a foreign key relationship, foreign key is nothing but to have one-to-one relationship. For example, a contact address. So for example, a contact person is having multiple vehicles. So how that is for array. And if you want to have, for example, a contact is having single employment type. So you want to have association with that type. So in that case, we will be using the employment details in a separate entity, and the contact will be having separate table. So the relationship will be handled with the help of this foreign key relationship. And here column name attribute is you can see include the column name attribute and set it to the field name plus ID. So the ID, this is the convention again. So recommended naming convention is field name plus ID. We have to give to understand this is a foreign key. Yeah, we don't have data here. We can show that to you. So array. So this is syntax to define array key. Array name equal to what is the array name? For example, person.vehicles, contact.buildings, contact.addresses. So if you want to hold multiple values, the naming also should be given like that. So the name, you can see buildings underscore ext. So like if you want to take claim.incidents, so that is an array. So on a claim there will be multiple incidents like injury incident, vehicle incident, property damage incident. So those incidents, all incidents are collectively referred with the help of array, and that will be handled with the help of this array. So array name equal to what is the array name? If I say claim.incidents, it will fetch all the incidents associated with that contact, with that claim. And the array entity. So whenever if I say, if you want to create an array key, you should have the array entity reference. It does mean that that array entity is of one entity type. See, if you want to create buildings, so how exactly you can create the buildings? You should have a type of building. So that is the array entity. So you will be holding the multiple buildings in a single array. That is what array entity. So before creating this array, the array entity should exist in the runtime. And each array requires a foreign key. This is how Guidewire fetches the records related to the array. So if I say AB contacted buildings, it should fetch the records. How exactly it will be doing? It will be going navigated to the building table, and from the building table it will look for which contact we are searching for. Let us say contact is 101. The query will be written something like this: select star from this one, buildings where AB contact ID equal to 101. That's it. It will fetch all the records which are matched with the AB contact ID, because we are passing the contact ID. We are invoking the buildings on a particular contact. So that is written in the array which is related to the contact. So this is important step. Whenever you define an array, in that array entity you should define the reverse foreign key. You should not forget. Even though you forget, the server complains about it. The server will not start, and it will throw the error saying that there is no reverse foreign key exists. And how to define the new entities? So we'll see stuff here. Create new ETL file and add child tags to the ETL file as invariant save file. Optionally regenerate the data dictionary and restart the application server. So the steps required are, so if you observe in Studio, there are different resource nodes available. So each and every node is responsible or for the operation that we carry. So if you see, in order to perform any operation, so you just need to click on data model extensions, and in that we have a extensions directory. So there we have to right click and choose new other file. Here you have to give the building underscore ext.eta file. So once you get this, you will have to define the XML tag and the entity tag must be entered manually, and define the required attributes for that tag, and add the child tags and save the file. So yeah, once we add the child tags, and optionally regenerate the data dictionary. Even though it is optional, I would say it is mandatory. So because it throws the error before the server fails. I mean, when we restart the server, it definitely fails if there are any errors or issues. So before doing that, if you do this step, region dictionary, it not only generates the HTML representation, here to that it validates the XML file for any errors. So if any errors there, the build fails and build will not be successful. So it will throw the errors. There we have to rectify the errors and regenerate the dictionary again. So once you regenerate the dictionary, the entity that we created will be populated in the dictionary. You can see the definition here in the HTML representation. Restart the application server. During startup, Guidewire application compares physical database to the data models as defined in XML file. So there are differences. Guidewire upgrades the database. This is what happens when we restart the server. It will check with the database, the XML namespace, whatever we define in the XML's entity definition. So if there is any change in the data model definition, it will upgrade the database according to the whatever we define in the XML file. So this is okay. So one more concept is another concept. This is called entity names. So entity name is nothing but, so let us say, if you, I mean, in Java what we say, so object dot toString to represent some information related to that object. So in a meaningful format. So similar to that, in Guidewire we have a entity name section to define the toString representation of that entity. So how exactly it will be done is, so for example, if in the drop down, if I choose one of the contact name, it should display the, if I click particular contact name, it should display the information in a proper way. Proper in the sense, in the information bar, I want to display first name, last name, what is the qualification, the the string that I want to display. So here in guideware we have an entity name section. We will be defining the entity name section before that. Okay, application. This is the URL to invoke the training application. So SUCW is the username password, and I will search for a particular person of contact. So whatever you see here, it is developed with the help of guideware application. So I will open my contact, and you can see. So if I click on any one of the record, it will open up the complete record information. And there is no information bar present here. You can see one information bar. So some flag icon. What is this? This is icon related to a person first lost. So this is the PCF file which is rendered with the help of the contact info bar. So if you see this AB contact.display name. So what I am trying to say is it is similar to toString in Java. So whenever we say display name, it should fetch the toString representation, the entity name representation. So there is one section, one resource node called entity names in the guideware application. You can see here entity names. And what is this? AB contact.display name. So this is of type AB contact. You can see, just place all the variable. You can see, just click that. You can see AB contact. AB contact. So AB
So
contact.
you are comparing with. So Rahul, sorry, you are comparing with Java, right? What did you say? Like it is equivalent to Java concat? Huh?
No, toString representation.
What is it?
toString.
ToString. Okay.
toString method. In toString, we will define the object dot first name plus object dot last name, right?
Okay.
Some meaningful name you want to display about that object. Whenever if I say object dot toString, it will call the toString method and it will represent, right? Similar to that, whenever we say object this AB contact dot display name, this is the property. So whenever if I say AB contact display name, you can see AB contact under entity names resource node. There is one, there are different entity names available here. You can see AB contact you have to open, and you can see the code here. What is the ETL they have written? So you just see this code now. I will explain later about fields. So if the subtype is of type person, then we are just doing this concatenation. First name not equal to null, then return string is appended with the first name, and last name not equal to null. Then we will be appending the last name also to the return string. So if it is a company, we are just going to the else block and return string equal to name, just return the name value. If the name is not equal to null, otherwise just return the blank string. So what exactly this first name and last name is defined here. These are the first name and last name. So last name is AB person dot last name. Okay, first name is AB person dot first name. This is the entity path we are referencing. So everywhere, if I say first name, it is pointing to the AB person dot first name. Every time, no need to type every time AB person dot first name. So if you define the entity path here, you just refer the variable name here, and you can do whatever operations. So
okay. So every time we write this Gosu script, we need to, if we need variables, we just have to define it over there and refer to the entity details, right?
Correct.
Okay. If we need a temporary variable, then what do you do? Like, which is not referred to any entity.
So you can see here, right, in this section.
Okay. We can also refer. Okay. Got it. Okay.
So it's a kind of a script that will be invoked whenever, whatever screen or whatever code you will be invoking the display name property.
Okay.
So if you have a custom entity, the custom entity also can be defined here under entity names, and you can define whatever the way you want to display. For example, you have a police station .etf file defined. So whenever if I say police station display name, how exactly it should be displayed? That is our job. So we have to police station registration number, what is the police station area location code. So what is the information required that we have to define here. That's it. And so this is the steps to do that. You just go to the entity names and right click new entity name and choose the whatever I mean whatever required for to be displayed in the user interface. See in here what the user is displaying, first name plus last name. And if you see the entity name, if there is any suffix also will be appended. So you can see the suffix also there, right? Suffix is not present here, that is why it is not displaying. So if I say suffix, I will go to the screen, detail screen, and in the suffix I will choose something like PHP. You can see person first last, right? If I click update, the complete screen renders and PHP. Gender equal to null. This is the okay, ab contact dot subtype dot display name. Here it is displaying. This is the one it is rendering. Because this is a sub-person type, this is of contact baby person, and what we are watching here is person subtype, right? Okay, I think for this change I am going to restart.
So you do not have to restart the server after making code change?
I think this is an entity related to change, right? I would have to restart this server.
Okay, okay.
Because if it is a data model change, then this is required to
Okay.
restart. If it is a user interface, that is not required. Okay, next time if I restart the server, this will go.
Okay.
So this is all about defining new entities, and let's see the next one. Extending the entities. So whatever we have seen, which is completely to create the new entities. At the same time, in Guidewire, we do have an advantage of extending the entities. That is the primary feature of Guidewire. So, for example, we have the claim entity, but the customer is interested in capturing more information on a claim. So, what needs to be done in general? So, if you purchase any product, we have to contact with that software team, and they have to do the customizations. But Guidewire is not like that. Guideware has given a lot of flexibility to the organizations or end users. They can customize the screen as per their requirements. So they can define new entities, or they can extend the base functionality, and that can be, invoked, as general. So it seems like comes with a bundle with the product, not defined by the developer. So we can see how exactly we extend the entity in this session. So layers of base application entities. So I'm just revisiting the screen again. So if you see, these are all the base application level entities, and the entities which are defined at the custom level are ETF files. So, but there are entities that you want to define some additional functionality. You want to extend the base application entity from either of the layer. It could be application layer or platform layer. That can be defined with the help of extensions. So you can see client.edx, activity.edx. Similar to process entries have code.edx, user.edx. So the ETL files which are defined at the base application level entities are written. You cannot make the changes, but you can add the functionality, add the fields to the existing entities with the help of extensions. So these are stored commonly in .etx files. Customers can modify entities in base application or create new entities. So this is similar to ETL file. So I will be little quick in this session. So you can see it is also written in single file, and it extends only one entity per file. So only one entity will be extended for a single file. So you can see the primary tags of ETX file. So the primary tag is for root tag is extension. So earlier it is entity, now it is extension. And primary subtags, if you observe, all the primary subtags are similar entity definition. And coming to sample text file, you can see again extension, entity name equal to organization, XML namespace equal to the namespace. If you see, there is no table property defined again. So it does mean that it will refer to the same table and it will add the columns which are defined, or the relationship with the foreign key will be assigned to the same table itself. So because it is an extension. This is a syntax, XML version 1.0, and extension entity name equal to entity name, and XML name is equal to library.com/. Column tags, these are similar to entity, but we have to recommendation is to use the field names with _ext. So because this is the extension, we are adding the fields directly to the base entity. So whatever the extended fields, we should have the _ext as a suffix for the column name. So how exactly you can take the strings and decimals? You can see here. Column name equal to field name, type equal to data type. There is a column param defined inside. Column param name equal to parameter name, and what is the value for the parameter. So strings declared as varchar require size parameter. So if you see strings declared as varchar data type should have the size property, size parameter defined. Without that, guideware server will not start. So if you see the first example, line number 6, stock ticker ext, which is of type varchar, and there is a column param which is passed here, that is of size of 4. Size is the parameter name and the value equal to 4. There is column name equal to risk factor. This is decimal type, and you can see column param. Precision equal to 4, and the scale equal to the number of digits right after the dot. Optional column attributes also there. You can see default, null, okay, column name. So you should mention the column name parameter. Or let's take default. So if you give the default, if the user forgets to enter the information in the user interface, the column will be updated with the default value directly. So use public extension is of type bit. If this default equal to true, then if the user forgets to enter the information or to select the variable max or no, then it will be at least stored as true. And coming to the other one, null okay equal to false. So you are not allowing the null values. In that case, you will be using null okay equal to false. And it says that directly it throws the error. So if the user forgets to enter the information, it is a error message it will display. And coming to the column name, so for example, nowhere in the previous example we have defined the column name attribute. It means that whatever the name we have given in the column, that will be used for the database table field, the field name. So if you don't want to use the same name, you want to use different name for the database table field, you have to use the attribute column name equal to whatever the name suitable for the database field. So these are the different parameters that will be used, and these are all optional. So how to extend the entity? So there are, we have to see whether there is an extension file existing or not.
So one question here, Rahul. So we can define a sequence or ID, right? In SQL Server ID and this one sequence number, right? So how do you define that? Can we do that?
Yeah, that is not in our hands. That is completely handled by the guideware. So there is a field called ID, which is generated by the guideware itself. That's a sequence number. So there are two columns. So one is ID, next one is public ID. So public ID is nothing but which is used to, during the code. So in the code, we will be using the public ID to handle the record completely, to handle or to hold the reference to that record. So public ID is nothing but it is also an ID prefixed with some other value. So we have something like in guideware client center, we will be having prefix, public ID prefix something like that, colon, what is the ID? If the ID number equal to 101, it will be rendered like this. Public ID will be similar to this, CC colon 101. So it will give, in the runtime, it is useful to identify for which application this record belongs to. So if you have multiple products like Fox Center, Client Center integrated, this public ID will be useful, to understand from which product or for which organization this record belongs to. Extending based on this, there are steps. So if there is an extension already present or not, we have to understand. Has entity already been extended? So you can see, if it is yes, open the existing ETX file. If it is no, create new ETX file. So how exactly you can do that? So let us see for one example, building type. So building underscore ext. So ext. Now you can see there is only ETA file present for this building ext. So in that case, you need to define the new extension for this. For example, let us take another one. Bank account also we have only one of this. Okay. If you want to read for AB contact, you can see it is having two entries. ETX is also present. Then if you want to add any additional fields, open this ETX file and take it in this at the end of this one. Just enter and enter the columns whatever you want. So add columns adds to the ETX file as written in save file. Optionally regenerate the data dictionary to check for errors, restart the application server. So it will something like this. The steps will look like this. Organization. They have to see ETX or ET is present or not. If it is present, open the file. If not, create the extension. So for example, here bank account. If you take bank account, how to create the extension? This is the step. Right click the ETA file and you can see the option create extension file. Just select that, automatically the skeleton will be created. You can see extension namespace equal to so and so and the entity name equal to bank account. You can see that. So from the bank account ETX, so if you open bank account UTI, you will see the entity name. What is this entity name? Bank account. And what is this entity that we are extending? Bank account itself. So the name should be same. If you manually type, don't forget whatever the entity name present here, that should be used here. Entity name equal to the name that is defined there. And after this, add the column tags, whatever the column tags you want to. I mean, add more functionality. So something like this, add the columns what are required, and just use them with the data dictionary, and you have to restart the application server to take care of it. So there are two directories available. One is extensions and metadata directory. So we should not, we should not be able to, we will not be able to delete those files which are defined at the platform level, AB or metadata level. And if you see extensions, you can modify or you can delete those files, which won't cause the issues to the application to start. So this is all about the extension, and we will see the next one is type list part. So in the data model section, you know type list is an important concept. From the list of values, we will be selecting one value. So here we will see how exactly we can do that. So if you see, wherever you see the interface, the drop down, so almost in most of the cases it will be a type list only. A type list is a predefined type list, a predefined list of values used to constrain a field. So when downloading UI, typically appeared as a drop down. So there are three types of type lists available: internal, external, extendable, and custom. So internal is nothing but it is a type list which is defined by the, it's kind of base type list. You will not be able to edit it or modify the existing type codes. Add new entries also cannot be possible. So here it is a base application cannot be modified. Word for internal application logic. So it shows the final attribute. So it will show the final attribute. So I will go to the type list section here. Now you can see these are the type lists available in this application. I have opened bank account type. So you can see this is for, there is no attribute defined for this. It is extendable, and let us take the one. Now you can see there is one type is SQL statement type, which is of type final. So it is a internal type list which is used for their business logic purposes. So they won't allow you to update or change existing type list. So that is called final system user type. So this is also a kind of default on our system administrator type. System services. These are the system user type list. And if you see system definition type, this is an extendable. So what is extendable? Base application can be modified. It means that you can add new codes and may also include internal codes that cannot be modified. I will open one type list that is called marital status. Let me minimize this. You can see the type codes. So each and every record, I would say, this is a type code. So this is a type code. So each and every record is called a type code. So if you see here, there are a few entries defined, and the attribute final equal to false. It does mean that you can change this type list. So if here you can see add button. So this is enabled, right? So you can click the add button, and whatever it will ask for a confirmation, and you can add whatever entry you want. So let us take new type. So this is auto defined. So some new type I will give. and the description I want to do now. So variable false. That's it. If you save it automatically, once you restart the server, during the in this macro status type list, you will find this new type option as a in the drop down list.
What is priority over here?
Priority is nothing but the order in which the items are displayed. So if you see single equal to 1, married equal to 2, this is the order which will be displayed here in this presentation.
Okay.
And
so if there are duplicates, right? If I for 2 rows, right? If I mention 1 1, what will happen?
So it will be taken based on the name, alphabetical order.
Okay. So in the background, it is going to create a table?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have seen in the late session, yesterday session, type list will have a different table, a single table, each and every entry, like 101, what is the type code? 102, what is the type code? So the complete information will be stored in with the help of identifier and the complete record information. But whenever the user selects one record from the user interface and clicks on update, that ID will be stored in the type key field. So in this marital status field, the ID, which is a 101 for single, if I select single and click update, the 101 will be stored under marital status. Internally, it is also handled with the help of foreign key only.
So each type list, each list will have a separate table defined, or will it be just using one file, one entity and keep updating it?
No. Each type list will have its own table.
Table, okay.
So, if you see custom, the type list which is not at all present, that is completely newly created, that is called custom type list and created as part of configuration. So you can see the editor here, whatever the type list you type, name here, that will be open. System, what is it? User type. You can see final equal to true for system user type. You can see it, right? This is the internal type list, and add is also disabled. Add nothing works here because this is entirely handled internally. So for their business logic, so this product is working, right? So to handle their logic, this is internal.
Okay. So by mistake, right, when we are creating a custom table, if we define it final as true, right, then we can never change it?
Final equal to true, I never tried that. I think we don't have that provision for this. List. I would say holiday list. Holiday list. Okay. No, we don't have any access for that.
And never. Okay.
Yeah, we can't do that. It's a final equal false because it's a custom type list. Right? We can create a custom, or we can change the extended type list. Internal type list we cannot create.
Only the product type list true.
Yeah.
Change it. Okay.
Yes. So the steps required: create type list, different type codes, create type key field and appropriate entity, and option 2 will generate the data dictionary based on the application server. So we will do one thing. So initially we don't have any entity created, so I will create state parameter extensions, and I want to create a vehicle type entity. Let us say vehicle.eta. Okay. Do you want me to give the extension or not required? So I will say vehicle.eta file.
You need to give it. Okay, it's a custom table, right?
Yeah, it's a custom, so you cannot rename again.
You need to create a ext, right?
Yes. So the extension is new vehicle underscore
Ext. Okay.
So what I will do here is I'll take the content from place it here. So the entity name should match with the so I want to give vehicle registrable title variable contact vehicle exportable utility that doesn't matter for me. Column name, what is the name I want to give it? Model. Not equal to false. Save action here. So for me it will be integer, right? Okay, that is easier there. So let us give the okay. So integer one function here. We have to close the tag compulsory. And what is it? Model. So in the baby contact that will be expired. I will create an array of vehicles. Okay. How to create that? You have to use the array. What is the array name? You have to give the name should be some meaningful name. I would say vehicles, so we have to use the plural, and array entity should be the name of the entity name. Vehicle entities. So I want to create a type this here. So type the anti-type codes. So standard conversion. So let's save it, and I want to define a type key to define for it. So let me define here. Type key equal to. So I will give a type as a vehicle type, and type list equal to vehicle type address, and description equal to. Just saving it, and I have to restart it. Let's see. So let us see how exactly the server responds. Issues there. Maybe just try it. Okay, entity field name is valid. Entity file name is valid. Name is not file. Vehicle is listed. This is very mistake. So actually, type errors also will cause issues, so we have to be careful. So maybe the character is missing, the name is mismatching with the file name. Thank you.
So in the same folder, the IDEXE also will be available, right?
What is it? ID?
So starting the server, building.
Okay, starting this, yeah, starting a server, starting a studio, everything with the help of same command. Only target changes. That's it.
Okay.
See, every time I'm using GWTA space C, what is the target name? Dev.hyphen start, dev-stop, region-dictionary,
Okay.
GWT space studio. So actually there is one bit.xml file is available there all the properties, all the targets are defined.
Okay. So if I have to set up in my machine, right, I think I might require your help to set up. Probably next session, right, when we're in the evening,
Yes,
we can set up in my machine also.
definitely. It doesn't, I mean, just install and version 1.7.2 on the machine on the JVM 1.6 Java, not JVM, JDK. So it takes some time, and it's this updating the database, I guess, it's properly done this time, I guess. So it was, yeah, we'll continue this typing. Yeah. So here the database, the name and then it is also for we have to follow underscore HT definition. And define the type codes. So whatever the code we give, that will be used for internal reference. The also code in the Java code and refer the directly type code. You can assign the type code directly. With the help of the name. And that is required from the true or false. So sometimes want to display one of the options in the format. What you want to do is instead of deleting the record type code, you just need to update the record for column as a true. So if you set the record to true, that option will not be visible to the user in the program. So if you want to extract
I think there is a lot of disturbance now.
So how exactly you can do that is with the help of type key syntax. Type key is a tag, you have to give the field name, type key name, and type list is the attribute. In the type list attribute, we have to give the type list name. So once you give the type list name, automatically in the user interface, if you mark this field, it will be rendered as a drop down. I will show that once you come to the this one user interface session. Starting. Meanwhile, can we take a break for 10 minutes? Hello, Pandu?
Yeah, Rahul.
Yeah,
What was
can
your
we take a
question?
break
Your
for 10
voice is
minutes?
not.
No. Can we take the break for 10 minutes?
Can we do?
Pandu? Hello?
Not able to.
Yeah, I will type in. I'm saying that can we take a break for 10 minutes? Hello, Pandu?
Yeah, can take 10 minutes break. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just disconnecting. I will be putting on mute, and we will come again in 10 to 15 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, 10 minutes. So I'll be online. Just ping me when you are back. Okay.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Server, but those are the two steps. You understand, right? What is a type list and how exactly we can map it to a type key.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. So there are type lists. We can filter the type lists also. There are two types of type lists, type filters. One is static type filter, and next one is dynamic type filters. Uh, Dynamic lists we can generate. So let us see. So a static filter is nothing but from the list of values you can define different subsets. Let us take yes, no, unknown, but you want to display only yes, no only, not the unknown option. So what you do in general, you want to create two type lists, one with yes, no, and next one is yes, no, unknown. So that is not useful if you have more number of type codes. So in order to define a subset from the type list. So to achieve that, we have a mechanism called type filter. With the help of that, we will be with the help of that, we will be doing the static filter. Sorry, it's a call. So actually, what we can do is we can define a static filter, and we can define a subset from the list of values. So for example, we have three values in the SNO type list. So I will open that SNO type list. We can see there are three options available. So yes, no, unknown. So wherever if I use yes, no type list to display in the user interface, I will get yes, no, unknown. Three options will be displayed in the drop down. But for some questions, the user should not give the unknown option. So what we have to do is we have to display only yes, no. So in that case, we can create a filter in the filters tab. Just you can see yes, no only. So this is a filter which will hold the yes, no options under includes. You can see yes, no. So this is how we can define the type filter. For example, I want to change. So this is a type of type. We have created a type. So let us define another one, standard. Standard one. And I will add one more thing, which is called so I will say rented. So for our understanding, I'm just adding this. I'm just saving this, and I want to create a filter which should display only standard and convention. So how exactly we can do that? So we have to create on type filter and click on add. So this is the option we have to do. Once you click the add, you will see so many options. So here you will have to do the filter name. What is the filter you want to define? Standard filter or standard vehicle type. So this is the filter name. So vehicles of standard type. Okay, so just in the include section, click on add. So if you see, there is a smart bulb icon. So this is the smart help, which is available in the Guidewire applications studio. So if you see, if you click this, you will be able to get the all the available type codes on this type list. So you can see racing, rent, conventional, standard. You can see those are defined in the codes. Racing, convention, standard, right. Correct. So only those values are defined or will be available here. You have to choose conventional, and I want to add one more entry that is called standard. Go to this one and choose the standard and save the type filter. So there is one more step we have to do. So if you want to get the type filter, we have to use the attribute called type filter equal to type filter name. So that is I will show it here. So these are the steps to create the typelist filter. Typelist filter is a named subset of type codes in the type list. To create a typelist filter, create filter tab, click on filter tab, name filter, select the code from the full typelist to add to the filter. So this is what I have done. So here for SNO unknown options, we are just adding the 1 2 options with the help of add.
Okay.
And in the code also,
okay. So
go ahead.
Okay. So this is clear. So if dynamic list, right? So if say for example, based on the driver's page. So now I'm going from driver's page to vehicle page, right?
Okay.
So if, for example, in the vehicles page there is a list which will list down all the drivers, right? So which I had entered in the previous page, right? So it's a dynamic list that is being built, right? So it is from the previous page, it is coming here, right? Can we do that here?
So you want a scenario from the previous page, you want to display the drivers? Or what? I didn't get it.
Correct.
So you see,
so
that
basically,
is also,
right? Basically, we are building the list dynamically based on the values entered by the user.
You are talking about this static filter, right?
Not the static filter. I'm talking about the type list, basically.
Okay. So you have a, for example, you have a type list called this one vehicle type, and you have all the options. 4 types. The user can one of the options the user can choose. Okay.
Okay. So not here. Okay. I'm just consider FNOL case, right?
Okay.
So the insured calls up. Okay. He calls up and gives the policy number.
Okay.
Okay. And in the next page, in the driver's page, for example, who and all were driving the vehicle,
okay.
Passengers details, he will give 4 passengers, right?
Okay. Right.
Okay. Next page will be the injury list page, right? Okay. If it is an injury list page, then based on whatever I entered in the last page, that is in the driver's page, a list has to be formed.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that is a dynamic list, right? So based on what user entered in the previous page, I'm getting the details, the names of the passengers who traveled, so that I can select the passenger and say like, okay, this passenger got hurt or injured.
Yeah, correct. That is there. You can define that list. So all the drivers information, who are the parties involved, those details will be captured in the previous screen, will be available in the touch screen problem, because there is a one widget called claim contact widget. So that widget job is to, whatever the contacts associated with the claim will be populated in the drop down. So once once the users are available, you can select one of the injured person from the drop down, and you can proceed.
Okay.
That is not a type list. That is a different widget. That is called claim contact widget. So
which one is it? Sorry.
That claim contact widget.
Claim contact bridge.
Not widget.
Widget. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I will there's a widget called this one. I will explain once we come to the user interface session.
Okay, okay.
So what is the static filter? Is you're just restricting the list to a subset, and you can make use of this list. Here you can see with the help of the syntax, we have to give additional property called attribute called type filter equal to yes no only. Okay, so if you give the type filter, what is the filter name? So here what we have defined the filter standard vehicle type. So if you want to use only these two codes in the what is that vehicle type, we have an extension definition, right? Here in the type list definition, so we have a type list, right? Here we have a type list vehicle type. It will pop it all the 4 values. But if you want to list only 2 values, you have to use the type filter equal to what is the name that we define under this filters. Okay. So this is the standard vehicle type. So okay, yes, and just you have to use it. So now the type filter only displays the values which are defined under this type filter. That's it. So not only single type filter, we can define multiple type filters with the different subsets of this code list. And coming to dynamic type categories, in some scenarios, for example, you want to display some subset dropdowns based on the parent dropdown value. The parent dropdown values should automatically refresh or automatically reload. So that should happen with the help of dependent dropdowns. That is called categories. So that is called a dynamic type list. So the child dropdown is always dependent on the parent dropdown. For example, let us say there is a type list called state. You can see state.
Or you can check the vehicle, right? Based on the year, the model make should change.
Yeah, that is also one example. See, for example, if I choose Ferrari, so let us say Ferrari starts from this year only, manufacturing year, 2014 or 15.
Correct.
So the year should be reflected from the whatever the model the user has selected. So how exactly we can do that is, I just wanted to show you that example here. For example, in order to display the state based on the country, so the state is dependent on the country type list. So in some scenarios, based on the country, we have to display the states. So if you see the state, so if you select the one of the type code, you can see the country, the category section. Okay. See, Alberta is a state which is available, which is a geographic location in Canada's countries, not in US, right? So if you see, this is the category. So you have to define the category. So for example, see, let us take Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is a kind of city which is available in both India and Pakistan. So in the case, the type list category will hold the country India, and one more is country Pakistan. So let us take this Alaska. Assume that for our assembly stage, so Alaska is also part of Canada also. Then they want the country to be, even though the country is selected is here also we have a smart bulb automatically to populate all the type is available in the application. So if you just fill in the name, it will filter out the list. And similarly, code, you can from this type list, all the codes will be populated. Now you can see. So what is the country type list? So country will have all the country codes. So United Arab Emirates, Afghanistan, US, Canada. So every country codes and country names will be available. So for which country this Alaska should be visible? So I will choose C8. Just type C. Yeah. So CS there, right? Okay, so if I say something like this, whenever I choose the country as a Canada, the Alaska state will be populated in the state drop-down. If I choose country US, this state also will be populated. Similarly, if you observe each and every state, the state is related to, for example, this Australian Capital Territory. This is related to Australian country. So the country, if you see country code AU, whenever the user chooses country AU, the states related to the Australian country will be populated. That is what a type category. So you're good, right? So what about dynamic categories and static categories?
Yeah, I'm able to understand this controlling and dependent. Yeah.
So it's the easiest thing. So no need to map each and every. In HTML we have to do a lot of operations, but here it's very easy. So in the drop-down category, you just configure the dependent drop-down. It should display the library. Just compare and so with this I have completed the type session also. So let's start the user interface architecture and how exactly user interface is handled. So once we start this session, then only you will understand the data model, how exactly data model fields, entities will be referenced in the user interface, how exactly the mapping will be done, so how data binding will be done to the user interface fields. So okay, so now we will see what is the user interface architecture and how exactly it is handled with the web application. So user interface is a separate module categorized into the 4 modules. So here Driveway does have its own proprietary framework, which is called base configuration file, which is an object model, which is specifically used to create all the Driveway user interfaces. So if you observe, whatever the screen we see in the Driveway application is completely built with the help of this PCF only. So whatever you see here, so the person info, phone address, text box. So this login screen, everything is developed with the help of PCF. This search screens, what are the drop downs. So everything is done with the help of PCF. The buttons, whatever the navigation for search, contact, administration. So whatever we see here is completely done with the help of this PCF object model. So there are 2 high levels of category. High level of categories defined for a PCF element. One is widget and next one is location. So widget is nothing but whatever we see in the user interface. It's a displayable element which is displayed in the user interface is called a widget. Whereas location is a kind of element, PCF element, which is specifically used for navigational purposes. So with the help of this, we will be navigating to one screen to another screen, one link to another link. So one tab to whatever you see here, so the tabs here, the links here, the hyperlinks, it's navigating to some other, the actions, menu items, so new user, new groups, whatever we do here is completely done with the help of location element only. So here actions, new person, so whatever the menu items, the buttons. So these are all not the buttons. If I click the button, what should happen? If I click particular record, for example, if I click first and search, so it is giving some result, right? If I click any record, what should happen? It's navigating to some other page, contact related page. So this is all about locations. So again, if you see, the widget is classified into 2 types: atomic widget and container widget. Atomic widget, the name itself says atomic. So it's an independent or individual element which is displayed on the user interface. So it can be input, cells, or a button. Used to display individual data values or execute individual actions. So you can see the example screen here. So the address, if you want to click update, once you change any data, you click update, there is a button. Cell. Cell is basically used to display some information. At the same time, you can edit the information in the cell also. And input. Input is a widget where the user will have a provision to enter the information or update the information. Input is nothing but not only input text. It could be anything. It could be a drop down or a radio button or a date widget or a text area. So these are other various input widgets. And the container widgets. If you still container widget, if you take container widget, it's a collection of atomic widgets. So collection of atomic widgets means whatever we seen in the previous atomic widget session screen, those atomic widgets are organized in a some different manner. So I will explain each and everything. Detail view, we could say at least to each and every content widget will have its own advantages. So advantage of having this content widget is you can logically organize the functionality into different sections. And having container widgets is you can reuse the container widgets. The container widget can be reused in another screen, or it can be referenced in another screen. That is the advantage of having a logical namespace for a particular group of container widgets. So whatever we see here, this is a primary view. So you can see summary. So summary, in which we are seeing two columns: basic information column, flag entries column here. The primary view is a reusable panel designed to organize atomic widgets. So the two primary views are detail views and list views. So detail view is nothing but you can see here. The detail view displays information about a record: name, ID, program, assigned user, what is the address associated with this. And list view is nothing but it is a information which is displayed for collection of elements in a tabular format. For example, you want to display multiple vehicles. You want to display what are the incidents associated with the client, who are the associated persons with a particular claim. So those details all are handled with the help of list view. So next one, another container widget is an input set. So input set is nothing but it is a collection of inputs that can be reused by many detail views. So you can define an input set, logical input set, and that can be reused many number of times in an input set. Coming to detail views. So detail view is nothing but it completely focuses on a single record. If you observe, detail view displays information about a particular record: AB contacted first name, AB contacted name, dot what is that period time, AB contacted assigned user. So these are all related to a particular object, only single object. That is a AB contact. So if you take claim, for example, if you take claim, if you see claim summary screen, otherwise if you see claim loss details screen, so what it will have: loss date, loss cause, what is the loss description, what are the parties involved. So not the parties involved, few other details in the loss details screen. In the summary screen also you will find some information related to a particular object, that is a claim. So whenever you want to display information about a single object, single entity information, then we will be using the detail view. And detail view can be organized into columns with the help of input column widget, and so it can be referenced by screens and secondary views. So detail view can be referenced in a screen, or it can be used in a secondary view. So to understand properly, I am just going to the studio for some time. I will open AB contact person, AB contact details person. So I'm just opening one detail view. So here you can see one example. So what is the example here? This is a detail view. So you can see this is the PCF file. So I will be showing that examples again. So this is a PCF file, how exactly we can define. So next slides, I think that will cover that one. So we will see that. List view is nothing but list view typically displays multiple records at the same time, uses a small number of automatic widgets to display the most relevant information. You won't be displaying the complete information about an object. For example, you want to display what are the involved vehicles or the associated vehicles of a policy holder. So what you will do, you will display in terms of list view, and it will have what is the manufacturer name, what is the manufacturing year, what is the license plate. Only few details will be available in the list view as a multiple record. So each and every record will point to a single vehicle. But if you click view or edit on the button on the one record, it will open up another screen, and in that screen you will find all the complete information about the vehicle. So that is how we can handle the list views in the Guidewire applications. So organized in tables, similarly it can be referenced in screens and the secondary views. Input set is nothing but it can contain atomic widgets and be reused by detail views, cannot be referenced by secondary views, and cannot have toolbar directly associated with them. So whatever I am discussing here, detail views, list views, these two concepts will be covered in separate session. Okay. So the next session I will be covering detail views and list views. So in detail, so how exactly we can define. So with the example, I will be covering that example. Okay. And secondary view. What is a secondary view? Secondary view is nothing but a card view and a list detail view. In Guidewire, there are you can see the container widget. These are the other types: card view and list detail view. So the card view is nothing but if you want to display information about a particular contact in a multiple tags, that is called card view. So here tags are called cards in the Guidewire application. Notation is different. So person info, phone address, bank accounts, what is the assessment information, all the information. So each and every group of information will be stored in separate cards. So the card will can reference another detail view. So that is what here the secondary view job. So in the card view, you can directly place all the atomic widgets, or you can reference another secondary primary view. That is a detail view or list view. So list detail view is nothing but it is a combination of list view and list detail view. If you observe the above, the second image, it is combination of list view and detail view. If you select one record, the complete information about that record will be visible in the bottom section of that list view. So for example, if you go to the addresses, so here I will create one more address. So I will choose billing and okay. So I think I'm editing the existing one. So what I will do is I will update this and I will update add. I have to use add. So here I will choose the type business and that is line 1. Not option, not needed. So you can see this is the list detail view. If I click particular entry in the list view, it will populate the data which is related to that record. You can see this is a very minimal set of information. So if you click this will render this information. This is nothing but this is a list detail view. And coming to card view, so you can see the information is displayed in terms of cards. So each and every card you can click and you can find the information about that section. So you can see bank account analysis. So this is card view. So content widget, another kind of content widget is screen. Screens are top level containers. So whatever we have discussed so far are container widgets, but they are not top level. So we cannot directly render a list view. We cannot directly render a detail view in the interface. So we require a screen. In that screen, we will be referencing the whatever the detail views or card views, and other content widgets, whatever we discussed so far, will be included in the screen. So what is a detail view consists of? A detail view again consists of collection of atomic widgets. So this is the complete hierarchy in which we will be handling how exactly the information will be rendered or displayed in the interface. So if you see, the screen is the top level container one, and the user who can navigate to. So if the user always navigate to a screen only. So from the screen, in the screen you can have detail view, list view, or you can have card view or list detail view. And detail view again can hold input sets, or directly it can hold atomic widgets, and list view holds the atomic widgets. So this is the hierarchy for the widgets. And coming to the locations, this is the one section. We have seen the what are the displayable widgets. So what are the displayable elements which are categorized into two types: atomic widgets and container widgets. Now the navigational elements we will see, which comes under location element. So if you see, there are different types of locations: location view, base, wizard, pop-up, worksheet, forward, exit point. So I will explain each and everything here. So here you can, whatever you see here, location view, base, forward, base, wizard, pop-up, worksheet. These are all navigating to the screen itself. If you observe, so whatever, if I click on a page, it will be navigating to the screen, and the screen will again render the secondary primary views or atomic widgets. So it can be wizard. So you know, right? FNOS wizard is a kind of location element. So it can reference a screen, and that screen we will have all the input elements. So here screens forms the bridge between what is displayed in the application and how a user can navigate to that screen.